So, Supreme Court of Appeal Judge President Mandisa Maya is the second candidate to be interviewed for the role of Chief Justice today. Maya has spent several years advocating for women on the judiciary and is a member of the International Association, in fact, of Women Judges. She also has a long career as a judge, having served for over 20 years on the bench. Let's take you live now to Newzroom Afrika contributor Dianne Hawker, who is tracking that process, which is set to continue for the remainder of this week, interviewing those 4 candidates for the position of Chief Justice. Dianne, several issues that we'll be looking to as we build up to the interviews of Judge President Mandisa Maya this morning, and issues around women, perhaps quite obviously, will feature maybe quite highly on the line of questioning there?
Yes, absolutely, Michelle. I think that yesterday's interview was already an indication that the issue of transformation of the judiciary will definitely come up again. And of course, as you mentioned, Justice Maya is the only woman candidate here. But I think that isn't the only thing that's of recognition on her CV, to be quite honest. That's just one of the things that I think stands her in good stead. I'm joined on our set here by Allison Tilley, who is a coordinator from Judges Matter, an organization that keeps quite a close eye on what's happening in the judiciary. Thank you for joining us this morning, Allison. Justice Maya is one of the panelists or the candidates here, but she also has quite a long career as a jurist in this country, over 20 years on the bench. What do you think are some of the things that will stand out with regards to her career in this interview?
Well, I think given yesterday's proceedings, one of the things that the JSC is interested in is people's leadership roles. And of course, Justice Maya is the President of the Supreme Court of Appeal. And I think that that will stand her in very good stead if the pattern from yesterday is going to be repeated today. So that particularly of interest. And then I think also in terms of the sort of diplomatic role of the Chief Justice, having to engage with many other senior figures from across the continent and internationally, certainly that's something that she's been involved in, the International Association of Women Judges. So I expect some discussion about those roles as well.
I mean, yesterday we heard a question which I thought was quite a strange one. Is South Africa ready for a woman Chief Justice? Do you think she'll get something along those lines? And is that even a fair question to ask a candidate?
I think it's inevitably going to come up. And I think it is being asked in terms of the constitutional provisions around race and gender. And I think it's something that JSC generally does focus on and ask questions about. So I would absolutely expect those questions. However, I would also expect the answer that if South Africa is ready for a woman Chief Justice, I expect the answer to be a resounding yes, certainly from this candidate, and I hope from the candidates coming up.
And just one final question. We also saw the issue of the duration of the term come up. Now, Justice Maya would have a full term at the Supreme Court of Appeal. Should that be such a big issue, considering that they're also looking for someone who's got seniority?
I think that that's one of the tensions that the JSC is having to manage. If you're putting somebody in a position and asking them to have a long-term vision as to how the judiciary should change and develop, it's something that probably can't be done in 3 or 4 years, and you really do have to have a full term. Other judges being asked around appointment to the Constitutional Court have certainly been asked whether or not they should be appointed given their short terms. So again, it's a question we have seen before.
And of course, I think the other thing that came up is about the ability to lead. I mean, that was one of the key questions that Justice Matlanga had to answer. Now, we've seen Justice Maya has previously been credited for enabling quite a lot of transformation at the Supreme Court of Appeal, where she has been the judge president for some years. What do you think stands out from her leadership style at the Supreme Court of Appeal?
Well, I think it's been a consistent problem over many years with justices coming here and talking about the difficulty that they've had at the Supreme Court of Appeal and with what became known as the top 6. So a very difficult court for many people, with a very, very hierarchical, very traditional, and I think that that's something that has certainly changed. and Justice Maya is generally credited with that change, that over time it's become a much more friendly, welcoming, enabling court for justices that work there.
Well, thank you so much, Allison. We'll be catching up with members of the Judges Matter throughout the day. My colleague Stephen Curtis will also be speaking to people from Judges Matter just to help with the analysis and understanding what's going on with these interviews. Back to you in studio, Michelle.
Yeah, look forward to that coverage throughout the day. Thanks very much for that indeed, Dianne Hawker.